Greetings, everyone. My name's Rick Mannon, and I'm an inductee into the Brantford Area Sports Hall of Recognition. I'm honored today to have our guest here, Patrick Murphy from Professional Wrestling, with me today. And I thought we'd just chat about his experience and what it was like being inducted into the Brantford Area Sports Hall of Recognition. So let's just dive right into it. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so
Patrick.
much.
First question is, what drew you into wrestling?
What drew me into wrestling was I want to say Saturday afternoons with my watching wrestling on the TV with my dad. As a little kid, those are definitely my fondest memories. My grandpa was a big wrestling fan. My dad was a huge wrestling fan, and so I think just from the love that my dad had, I think it just shared with me, and yeah, I've always been obsessed with wrestling since just a small age. So.
Wow.
So yeah.
So dream come true after a lot of years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you have any mentors that helped you or impacted your life, your sport, your career?
Yeah, mentors throughout my life. Definitely as a younger age, I would say my dad was my biggest mentor. He coached football teams that I played on and hockey teams that I played on, and just always pushed me into sports and just amazing things that way. You know, you learn so much in sports. With wrestling-wise, I would say a gentleman by the name of Nick Wyman was definitely my biggest mentor. He is the promoter and owner of a wrestling promotion called Championship Wrestling International, and he gave me my first opportunities in the business and helped me learn the business and how to run shows properly, and just really helped my career out very much.
That's terrific.
Yeah. So.
Let's talk about some of your highlights of your career.
Yeah, for me, the highlights have changed. You know, as I go throughout when I think of memory lane and I go through my career, I think originally I was so blown away by just getting into the ring and having my first match. You know, 1998, my first match. I can't believe I'm in the ring. I can't believe I'm having this first match. You know, and then it went my first championship that I won. And then it turned into the first sold out arena, and then it turned into, you know, going to the United States to wrestle, and just things just kept piling on. And you know, for me, I have to say though, like I used to collect the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines as a kid. I have the very first one from 1984 still at my house in my collection box. And you know, to be on that list of top wrestlers in the world in 2010, it's mind-blowing to me sometimes.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, so it was very cool. And so now I compare the 84 to the 2010, and to, you know, to be on that list, I can't even put into words, you know.
Yeah.
To get a world ranking in anything is
absolutely
very hard, right?
Okay,
So,
it sure is. It takes a lot of work to get there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Terrific. So, how has wrestling impacted your life?
Wrestling's impacted my life in many ways. I want to say wrestling has been my, you know, to be honest, probably my best friend throughout my life. Like, whenever there was times where I didn't have anything to do per se as a kid, I watched wrestling. You know, wrestling I just always found was there for me when, you know, on down times or. But as I got into the business as an adult, what's wrestling done for my life is just it's given me purpose. It's given me reasons for motivation to work out. You know, to get involved, with the community. For me, that was always the biggest thing. Was just I had such great memories of the Brantford Civic Center and the Maple Leaf tapings as a kid that I wanted to give that back to the community, and hopefully a new generation of kids could have the same memories. You know.
Sure.
So that was always my goal, to stay very Brantford focused.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's terrific. It's important to give back.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think so.
You can just, you take and take, and I think, you know, that's the real, you know, you lay some bedrock down and let people grow from it as well, right? So.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
So this is fresh because the induction was last night.
Yes.
And it was a great night. But what does it mean to be inducted into the Brantford Area Sports Hall of Recognition?
for me, it's a lot of things. I want to say the first one is just being proud. You know, I was so proud and happy when I got that news. I was a little bit of, I couldn't believe it either. You know, but when I hear all the people say the kind things about me, and you know, even though some of the things were, you know, a couple of decades ago,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Father Time catches up
Sure.
with you, everything, right? But
Yeah.
you know, just to go back and think of those memories, and just validation from the city in general. And I think the Wayne Gretzky Sports Hall of Recognition is such an excellent idea, and it's such a beautiful building. And
It is.
and if anybody from Brantford's never been there, make sure you get there for sure, because it's
Good plug.
amazing. It's
Yeah, for
amazing.
sure.
It's amazing.
It is. It really is. Yeah. Well, do you have any advice that you'd like to share with a young aspiring athlete?
Yes. My biggest advice would be, and it maybe sounds a little cliche, but just don't give up. You know, everyone's going to have opinions. There's always going to be people that can say that you can't do something, you know, but most of the time, those are the people that have never done a certain level themselves, you know. And I find that the people that have done great things in sports will never be the one to discourage people from chasing their dreams, right? So what I say to my kids is, no dream is too small. You know, you can achieve anything you want in life, but I think the fine print has to be that it's hard work.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing's going to be given to you. So you just be prepared to work hard. Sometimes you'll have some rejection. Sometimes you might not get the outcome you want, but have perseverance and stick with
Yeah.
it, and it will work out. And so just stay with your dreams and stay true to yourself. I think
That's
would
a great
would be
message.
Great advice.
Well, that's terrific. I feel very enlightened after talking to you. I think I may want to try wrestling. No. I'll stick to running. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming and talking to us and chatting about who Patrick is, sharing an insight into who you are, some of your story and your achievements, and what it's like being inducted into the Brantford Area Sports Hall of Recognition. So I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and I'd like to invite everyone, if you haven't been to the Wayne Gretzky Center to see the Brantford Area Sports Hall of Recognition, please come down. You can look at, read more about Patrick's story, look at his artifacts, and many other inductees that are there. Thank you very much.